Hi guys, I'm Louis, the producer and host of Uncharted Parenting and Programs and Parent Coordinator here at Encounter Youth. But most importantly, I'm a husband and I'm a dad to two boys as well. As you all know, parenting can be a wild adventure. It's full of that messy stuff, full of all of that unpredictable stuff, full of uncomfortable moments. But basically, it's uncharted territory. You're not alone though. And each week, we're going to have some amazing guests, some amazing professionals here on the podcast sharing tips, stories, and ideas to help you survive and thrive. And hopefully we have a couple of laughs along the way as well. So if you're ready to navigate the chaos of raising your young person with just a little bit of help, then welcome here to Uncharted Parenting. So Lauren, thanks for taking us on a bit of a tour of the school grounds today. It's nice to, normally we're sitting in an office or in a studio and filming, so it's nice to do something a little bit different. Now for some of our listeners that probably don't know who you are or anything about you, could you perhaps give us a little bit of insight into your personal and professional journey to getting to this point, and is there something that perhaps shapes your vision for leadership and educational strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. I graduated university in Sydney and got my first job in quite a tough school in New South Wales. It was a pretty complex classroom. Students that were arriving to the school that had come from pretty complex backgrounds and had some real difficulties. And as an early career teacher, that was quite a challenging way to start my career. Yeah. But I look back now and I'm so grateful for that, because I think I lean on those skills that I learnt during that time quite a bit, not only as an educator but as a leader now. I think it really taught me the importance of creating a classroom environment that kids really wanted to jump out of bed in the morning to come to, where they felt safe and engaged, and just how important it is, our role as educators that we play in young people feeling that way. So whether it's in a really tough school in New South Wales or a beautiful school here in Athelstone or Norwood, you know, those fundamental skills in creating classroom environments are the same. Yeah. So I think that was a really important way to start. It also was a really tough environment for an early career teacher, but I was so well supported. So I think about that a lot in terms of the staff support that I had, and how important that was for me, and how I hope I can be that support for others now. From there, my husband got a job in Alice Springs, so we moved to the Northern Territory, where we spent the next 6 or 7 years, and that was a really important time in our lives, both personally and professionally. That town is really special to us. It really changed me and altered my worldview, and I was so grateful for the experiences that I had there. I was able to study and have quite a vertical leadership trajectory, I suppose, but I was at a beautiful school there, and it really is where I found my voice, I think, in terms of wanting to contribute to school improvement and feeling as though I had something to say, and I was so supported and believed in, and it really became an amazing training ground, I suppose, for characteristics that I've developed as a leader. So it was a really great experience for both me and my husband. We had our first child there, and that's what prompted the move back home, and have been extremely fortunate here in Adelaide, working at a beautiful school here in Adelaide. Fantastic experiences, and then from there had our second child. And I think if there was one experience that has shaped me more than anything in terms of who I am as a person and as a leader, it would be becoming a mum, no question. I used to probably fear the idea of, you know, juggling and having a career and being a mum and how all that works together. But, you know, it's become one of the most important things for me, that I can demonstrate that you can be a brave and committed and driven leader, but also be a nurturing and present mum. And I feel really passionately about demonstrating that in a really real and authentic way, that you can do both and that both can complement each other rather than compete with one another. Yep. And, you know, I think being a mum makes me a better principal, and being a principal makes me a better mum. And, you know, if there's one thing that means the most to me, it's getting that balance right and having my kids feel proud of me. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty important part of who I am as a person, but also what I bring to the role and what I bring to the school.
Yeah, that's quite some journey.
taken you to 3 different states across
That's right.
across the country. And
Yeah.
I think it's actually quite refreshing to hear you say you don't have to be one or the other. You don't have to be just a mum. You don't have to be just a principal. You can be both and do both things well. And you're clearly doing both of those things well in what you're doing.
You try your best.
Yeah. Well, we don't always get it right. I know as a dad myself, I don't always get things right.
That's right.
I think that's part of the journey as a parent, isn't it?
Absolutely.
We don't always get things right, but we learn from it, and it shapes the decisions that we make in the future. And
Yeah.
speaking of new initiatives and going into different spaces, moving into different spaces, obviously moving into the tech space and the digital wellbeing space has been a space that you've explored here at St. Ignatius. And was there something, Lauren, that really was there a spark that sort of happened for you that where you are really to do something here at the college in regards to digital wellbeing? And was there a specific moment, or was there a specific thing that sparked that for you?
Look, I've probably had an opinion in this space for some time. I think at any of the schools that I've been in, any of the states that I've worked in, ever since kids had this device in their hands or had exposure to these apps or software or whatever it's been, I've probably had some awareness around that and some concerns around that. So I've been really fortunate that at any school I've been able to influence, whether that's been policies or guidelines, and brought in changes because I felt quite strongly about the concerns that we saw in young people. But in terms of a spark or a catalyst, there certainly was an incident, I suppose, that I supported some young people as they navigated that at a school I was working at interstate. And without going into all of the details, it was quite a heartbreaking experience to watch young people go through. Essentially, it was an online prank that went wrong through a social media medium, and to see the consequences of that for these young people, for their families, for their communities, it was heartbreaking. And, I realised in that moment that anything I said or did next to support or comfort those involved was redundant, really, because it was out there in the ether, it was out there in the digital world, and it had grave consequences for those involved and was an extremely humiliating experience. So I suppose sitting on the sidelines of that really prompted me to consider, what is my role as an educator in this space? Where is my responsibility? And I felt the weight of that responsibility and felt it is incumbent on us as educators to support young people from harm, to support young people from risks. And this felt like one of them, and it felt really important. I think it's been really hard for us as educators to pinpoint where our role is in this space. It's not always a clear delineation between home and school, and often these issues are happening largely outside of school hours. But for me, I think that was a spark that really ignited my passion and my advocacy and my voice in this space to say, when it happens, doesn't matter. It is impacting our young people and we need to support them. That's our role. And I feel very strongly about that. So I think that has only grown over time. And I'm really excited now because I feel like there's lots of voices in this space and there's lots of change happening at the moment, and it feels really exciting to be a part of that.
It certainly is exciting to see where it's going. It's on the flip side of it, it's not so good to see, our young people. I think about even 10 years ago when more than that now. I'm getting a bit older than what I think. Probably even 15 years ago, social media and digital wellbeing wasn't even spoken about. So it's now impacting our young people more than we know, more than we can see. It's happening beyond school, a lot of the time outside of school hours, and there's only so much that you can control as a college principal and as a college as educators. But it's good to see that there's lots of voices in this space now. So Lauren, the TechSmart initiative, it was not just a policy decision that was made by the school. It was more of a cultural shift from what I understand. And the initiative that you held here at the college a couple of months ago now, bringing together professionals like Wayne Holdsworth, Simon Wilkes, Danielle Einstein, was really like a resounding success. And we saw that when we saw the clips that got on social media and things like that. And also having the Premier of the state, Peter Malinauskas, come along and also speak at that event. Obviously, he's a big advocate for especially social media, and he's shaping policy decisions here in SA around that. But the question I have for you is how, the Ignatius Alliance is obviously a community initiative that you've started here at St. Ignatius. How have you worked to sort of, collaborate with families, stakeholders, and make those sorts of decisions around this TechSmart initiative and how to create healthier digital habits with students and families alike at the school?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think, any initiative that you're trying to do at the school, bringing all your stakeholders together so everyone's buying into that's been really important. I think our staff have been a really critical stakeholder in all of this, and it has really felt like a cultural transformation at the school. And I think it's given us a platform to challenge each other and ask each other good questions. Is this best practice teaching and learning? Tell me why, show me why. Is technology enhancing what we're doing? Is it important? Is it needed? Is it critical for the quality of that task or that assessment or that lesson? So I think seeing our staff be courageous and brave to have those conversations and challenge each other respectfully has been really important. Our staff are so good here and so high quality, and so we are extremely lucky for that. But seeing them unify and strengthen as a team in this process has been really amazing to see. And be able to push forward in what's been a fairly countercultural space for them to really challenge each other to say, well, is this innovative or is there just technology involved? And just because this is a traditional way of doing it, does that make it wrong? Is this habit or is this intentional? I think being able to ask each other those questions has been really important. So our staff have been a really critical stakeholder. Our parents have obviously been really engaged, and we have been so fortunate here because our parents have not only been engaged, they've been supportive. And our parents come from different industries and experiences and have brought all that wisdom to us, and we've really benefited from that and layered their ideas into our policies and initiatives, which has been really important. It was one of our parents' ideas to form a committee, which we ended up being the Parent Ignatius Alliance. So we had over 50 parents initially wanting to contribute to that, sit on that, send emails with ideas and initiatives. And so we just felt so lucky to have that much support. And so much of what we've done subsequent to that has been from parent ideas. The whole Tech Smart evening that we ran was from our parents' ideas and from that alliance that really inspired us to not only have a strong position at this college on who we are and what we're about, but come together and build awareness and conversations and layer experts into that conversation. So we have felt really inspired by that group of parents, but more so than that, there has been a ripple effect of that through all of the parents in our community, and we felt very grateful to have their support throughout this journey. Our students have been a really important stakeholder in this process. They've been involved from day one. Our college captains have been really integral to the entire process, giving us their ideas, their feedback, their opinion, both last year and this year. We have a Year 11 Voice Committee that's essentially been advisors to me and to the leadership team around their thoughts, what they need, the education that needs to sit in parallel with any new policies or initiatives that we're doing. And so our current Year 11 Voice Committee have been amazing in inspiring us around a full cyber review around the college, which is really exciting, looking at everything we're teaching in an age-appropriate way from reception right through to Year 12 in terms of supporting young people with the education they need in this space. Next week, I'm meeting with our junior school SRC reps, our Year 6 captains, to ask for their feedback on the next iteration of our Tech Smart evolution for 2026. So every step of the journey, everything that we've built upon, kids have been involved in giving us feedback and advising us on their thoughts in this space. And it's a challenge for a school our size to continue to spend that time in that way, but it's been so important to us and something that we can't move ahead into the next phase without getting our kids' thoughts and feedback on that. And I think certainly the conversations that we've had with our captains has been, this is about partnership, not about punishment. We're not trying to ban things and punish you. This is not your fault. We're all learning together, and so we want your advice and your feedback on how we're moving forward together. So I think all of that put together has made this feel like a community coming together and moving forward in the same direction, which has been really important.
I love that word community. I think but it's also really important. I think what you said is having that student voice as part of that is really important too. I think because they're the ones that's going to affect first and foremost, isn't it? And
absolutely.
It's also really encouraging to see that you've had so much parent involvement. As you and I were speaking before we did this podcast, it's difficult sometimes to get that parent involvement with other extracurricular activities and things like that they have responsibilities for, and to have 50 parents, like you said, sign up and then join that alliance and then really kickstart this that event, and obviously to see how the event panned out here at the college was a resounding success. So kudos to your community in doing that. So, and you certainly, I've spoken to parents and educators alike who came to the event who spoke so well about it. That's certainly changed their the way that they're doing things at their colleges and in their lives as well. So Lauren, one thing that I've seen that you're doing here at the college is really encouraging students to get away from screens and that digital space a little bit and head back to what would be perceived to be a bit old school and going back to the books and really trying to connect with each other as people. Is that something that you've been encouraged to see? Have you seen any developments in that space where perhaps has it been encouraging for you to see the response to that from your students?
Oh, absolutely. I think our student culture here is beautiful. Our kids are kind and respectful and intelligent, and so it wasn't that we were ever necessarily trying to fix an issue or a gap here at the school. We're also fairly early days, I suppose, in terms of the initiatives that started this year. So we're looking pretty closely at tracking some data there to identify any changes that we're seeing. Anecdotally, especially our senior kids have talked about they felt an increase in focus. They felt that they've had less distractions. So it's definitely been very positive feedback and certainly very positive from our teaching staff as well. But, I think as a Jesuit school, something that's been really important to us for hundreds of years has been having a culture of intellectual rigour and deep thinking and reflection. So it's really important to the way that we educate, that we are not just teaching kids what to think, but we're teaching them how to think and the art of deep thinking. So for us, although this is new in many ways, it's also not at all new in terms of the way in which we educate and the style of an Ignatian education.
Yeah.
And I think that's the risk with the temptation of technology in terms of what that brings into teaching and learning. I think about it in terms of the example of how hard it is to start writing an essay or start writing a speech or start writing a letter. It's so hard, and sometimes you've got to try and your first few goes need work and you've got to delete it and start again, or you might need to talk to people, or you might need to take that idea for a walk or sleep on it and try again tomorrow. And that's learning. That's the uncomfortable process of learning where you feel stretched and grown and challenged. And the fear is that if you take away that obstacle that learning brings, you take away what feels hard in that process of learning and just give yourself the answer through an app or AI or whatever it is that you're using, is that we still don't know necessarily some of the risks that come with what we're taking away from young people, which is the struggle of learning. And that's something that's really integral to how we teach and supporting students and stretching students to surpass their perceived potential. And so for us, it's finding that balance of, we know our kids need to leave here and have digital competencies and digital skills. And that's really important, that we are teaching young people through a clear AI strategy and clear tech strategies in education how to use this in an ethical and responsible way. But we've got to balance that with some of our concerns and our risks and some of the consequences that we're seeing. So for us, it's not about being anti-tech in the way we're going about it. We are truly trying to find a balance. And I think that's the challenge for us as educators in this space.
It's always a challenge, isn't it? But it's also you're 100% right in what you say. It's our students or young people now are going to be more digitally aware than we ever were when we sort of entered into the workforce or left school. And it is an emerging space, so they do need to be aware of it. And it's not being naive to that and just taking them fully away from it.
That's right.
Also educating them about that space as well. I'd be interested to see or hear have you heard any positive feedback from students yourself about doing that, so they've noticed the difference in since you've initiated those sort of...
Yeah, absolutely. We're still gathering some feedback around all of that, and part of that feedback is layering into where we go from here. So for us, it's been exploring some of the initiatives that we've introduced, such as Tech Smart Tuesday, and what that has given our students on that day, but also the reflection of the remainder of the week. And how do we move forward in a really balanced and sustainable way that's supporting young people with the pressures that they have, with the academic expectations we have of them, but also how we can continue to support that balance of all the things that we've talked about today. So absolutely, our students' feedback's been really important in not only how we've got to this point, but also where we go from here.
Yeah, I think perhaps, Lauren, if there's maybe some other educational leaders perhaps listening to this this interview that we're doing today, is there perhaps maybe, I don't want you to give away any of your secrets, but, or any of your processes, but is there maybe perhaps some advice you would give to them in terms of approaching this, not this issue, but this emerging trend of tech and digital wellbeing?
Look, I'd probably be really hesitant to give any other school leader advice. I think, every school is its own complex ecosystem, and there are different pressures and priorities and issues, and, school leaders are doing their very best in making decisions that are good for their local community, and that's something that's been really important to us here, is what is good for us as a local Ignatian community. What is important for the futures of our Ignatian students now, and so that's really guided our decisions. We haven't been afraid of whether other schools are or are not in this space. For us, we're quite comfortable sitting in the tensions of, what's important for us, whether or not that's the easy path. If it's the right path, then we need to forge ahead. So for us, we've been pretty laser focused on what's felt right, and the feedback that we have gathered from experts, our staff, our parents, our students, in terms of what's right for our Ignatian future. But from all of the perspectives, it's been about, we need to really prioritise the important things that we're seeing here on the ground at our school, and make good decisions from there. And every school will have different pressures and different issues and different priorities in that space. But for us, we certainly feel like this is something important, and it's why it's become a big priority for our college.
Yeah, I think it's key what you said there, is each community might be dealing with its own specific challenges or specific things happening in that community. So it's a refreshing take to hear you say that it's not just a one size fits all approach, is it? It's what really fits that community at that specific time, and it's great to see you've had such buy-in from parents and from students as well. In this space, so it's great to see that. I think, Lauren, I am mindful of your time. I do want you to be able to get back to run your college, and I'm really thankful for you for taking this time out today in taking this interview on and speaking with us at Encounter Youth. But one thing that I'd probably like to ask before we leave today, probably for our parent audience, is there any perhaps guidance or advice that you could give to parents, or perhaps something that you're seeing in this space? I know we're both parents ourselves, and like I just said, it's not a one size fits all approach, and each parent will know their child better than what we do, and better than what any expert does. But is there any perhaps guidance you could give to parents, or perhaps encouragement you give to them in this space at all?
Firstly, I would say I think parents have done an amazing job navigating such a difficult space. Parents have been trying to balance wanting their child to fit in, wanting their child to be connected to their peers, and that is an incredibly difficult task, especially as young people are navigating middle school and different things there. So parents have been trying to support their child going through all of that, whilst trying to keep their child safe from whatever concerns they've had with their social media use or their phone use. So I think parents have done an amazing job navigating a very difficult time without guardrails, without legislation thus far, without necessarily these conversations or the research or the data that has pointed them in a particular direction. So, and they're trying to do all of that whilst having peace in the family home and not wanting to have combat in the lounge room every night. So I think parents have done an amazing job under difficult circumstances, but obviously we're moving into a new chapter now where there is going to be legislation, there are going to be guardrails, there is a lot of conversation and experts leaning into this conversation. And I think for parents, it would just be to get involved in those conversations, work with your children, work with your schools, and come together to make good decisions for your family, and good decisions in partnership with the school. But I think it's been a very challenging space, but I think we're entering into a new chapter, which hopefully will be very supportive for educators and very supportive for parents, which ultimately will support the children that we're all here to try and help and protect.
Yeah, 100%. And I know we've used that word a couple of times today, is that it has been a challenging space, but it is also exciting to see us stepping into and seeing what, particularly what you're doing. I know we're speaking to you today, so seeing what you're doing here at the college. And I just want to thank you, Lauren, for your time today.
You're welcome.
In speaking to us here at Encounter Youth and Uncharted Parenting. So It's incredibly insightful to hear your voice in this space. When I've spoken to previous guests on the podcast, like I mentioned to you before about Wayne, they've called you a visionary in this space. So
Wayne's an amazing person. So we've learnt a lot from Wayne, and people like Wayne and him having the courage to share his story. It's what continues to ignite the flame for us. So,
well, thank you very much, Lauren, and we wish you all the best for the rest
Thank
of
you.
the school year as we're heading to term three now. It's gone by pretty fast, and as we head into 2026 as well. So
thank you so
wish
much.
you the best, and St. Ignatius College as well, the best as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren.
Nice to talk to you.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uncharted Parenting. Remember, you can catch all of your episodes on all of your favorite streaming platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and on Podbean as well. And remember, we want to hear from you guys. So send in your comments, your feedback, all of your questions to podcast@encounteryouth.com.au, and we'll see you in the next episode.